On the morning of April 15th, 1912, the world woke to an impossible headline. More than 1,500 people had frozen to death in the North Atlantic. While the sinking is often remembered as an unavoidable act of nature, the technical record suggests a sequence of specific failures occurred long before the first alarm sounded. To understand the collapse, you have to look at the scale of the construction. At 269 meters long, the RMS Titanic pushed the physical limits of early 20th century engineering, dwarfing every other vessel of its time. When it set sail, over 2,200 people were aboard. It was a floating microcosm of society, carrying everyone from the world's wealthiest industrialists in first class to working-class families staking their life savings on a one-way ticket. The intended route was a direct, highly publicized line from Southampton, England, to the bustling docks of New York City. The builders and the press had essentially declared war on probability. Because of its mass and complex design, the public was assured the vessel was entirely unsinkable. That specific label created a dangerous psychological blind spot. The luxury and scale of the ship insulated the crew and passengers from the reality of the ocean outside, making them feel completely invincible. By the night of April 14th, that invincibility was put to the test. The ship was navigating a dark, freezing stretch of the North Atlantic. Throughout the day, the radio room received multiple explicit warnings from other ships about dense ice fields lying directly in their path. Instead, the Titanic maintained its high speed. The crew prioritized a pristine arrival schedule over changing environmental conditions. At roughly 11:40 p.m., the lookout finally spotted a massive iceberg looming in the darkness ahead. They immediately ordered a sharp turn. But physics dictates that a 269-meter object traveling at near maximum speed carries immense forward momentum. An abrupt, evasive maneuver was mathematically impossible. The ship didn't hit the ice head-on. Instead, it suffered a long, scraping blow right along the side of the hull. The ice tore open multiple compartments simultaneously, defeating the primary structural defense. The fatal flaw was that vertical walls didn't reach the upper decks. As the front filled and tilted downward, water spilled over into the next section, starting a deadly chain reaction. The entire concept of an unsinkable ship was undone by a basic oversight in how accumulating water weight alters a vessel's center of gravity. Up on the passenger decks, the evacuation began without panic. There was a deadly lack of urgency because passengers still firmly believed the ship would stay afloat. The emergency protocol was doomed. Out of 2,200 people on board, the ship carried enough lifeboats for just over half. Furthermore, due to an initial lack of concern, early lifeboats were lowered far below their actual capacity, wasting hundreds of desperately needed seats. The massive, unprecedented death toll stemmed directly from a catastrophic collapse in human judgment, overconfidence, and wholly inadequate emergency planning. By 2:20 a.m., the weight of the flooded bow pulled the rear of the ship high into the air. The internal stress became too much to bear, and the steel hull snapped in two. The severed halves of the vessel vanished beneath the surface, beginning their long descent to the ocean floor. For the hundreds of people left stranded in the water, the immediate cause of death was rarely drowning. It was the lethal shock of the freezing temperatures, combined with the delayed arrival of rescue ships. That terrifying final hour was dictated by a cascading failure. Ignored warnings led to the crash. Technical flaws caused the sinking, and empty lifeboats guaranteed the loss. The sinking was the result of a precise collision between high-speed navigation, a compromised hull architecture, and a mathematically insufficient evacuation plan. It stands as a timeless lesson against human arrogance. When we put blind faith in our own technology, we ignore the variables we can't control. Ultimately, the Titanic remains a warning of what happens when engineering assumptions are treated as absolute certainties and safety margins are traded for performance.